You're not bad with money. You're just obeying rules that you never questioned. Matt Scaletti here. This is video 5 of 10 on the Spend Like You Mean It series. I love talking about this stuff. I love talking about money. Books like The Psychology of Money, The Latte Factor. This is a cool, quick read if you've never read it. And one of my favorites ever, The Richest Man in Babylon. Bunch of financial and money books behind me. I love talking about this topic. Welcome back. Of the 5 videos, this one is probably the one we could talk about for 45 minutes or 45 hours. Money beliefs, and I ask you to think about your own as we go through this. It starts as kids, doesn't it? If we heard our parents fighting about money constantly, and I bet some of you heard that, we may think money is bad. Money will always lead to an argument. Money is not a good thing to bring up as a topic because every time it was brought up in your home growing up, it led to a fight. That makes sense that you would have that belief. Now, if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, it's time to knock that belief upside your head and think about it differently, as I'm trying to do with some of my own beliefs, limiting beliefs about money. How about this one? If our parents were always worried about money, we may grow up fearing money. We may be nervous about it. It may be something that just, when we hear the word, it just starts to make us worry immediately. It's all so interesting because these beliefs were instilled in us in one way or another from age birth to like 15 years old. I'm sure a lot of these are wired and ingrained in us depending on how your household talked about this. Also, we're going to do this in the middle of the video. Like and subscribe, please. It helps out the channel and the podcast so much. Also, if you wouldn't mind sharing some of your own money beliefs, throw a comment here. Let us know, what do you believe about money? Maybe it's a positive belief. Maybe it's a limiting belief. Maybe it's a neutral belief. Whatever we believe ultimately will drive our actions. And I'll give you some examples of that I've seen and that I've done myself and am working on personally. I worked with a guy so many years ago in a job up in Boston who had this belief. And I remember sitting right next to him at this cubicle. He had this belief and he said it all the time. Wealthy people are jerks. Rich people are jerks. He said it all the time, which was funny because we were in a sales job and one of the goals is more sales, which would lead to more money. But he had this belief that all rich people were basically mean jerks, stingy, kept their money to themselves. And it was so interesting because he said it over and over and over and over again. Is that true? Of course, it's not true. I'm sure you know plenty of people who are doing well financially and are the most generous, loving, fun people to be around. And I'm sure you may know a couple people who do well with financially with a job and maybe they are jerks. Who knows? But money just makes us more of who we already are. If you're a jerk at 29 years old and all of a sudden you come into a lot of money at 30, you probably just be a bigger jerk at 30. If you're a kind, loving person at 29 and you start coming into a lot of money, you'll probably be even more kind and loving and generous than before. It's not often, if ever, I don't think I've ever seen this. Maybe you have. I don't know the research behind it, but it's not often that somebody is a jerk, comes into a lot of money, and now is this generous, loving person. And the opposite is also true. I wouldn't think it's very often where a loving, kind, generous person all of a sudden comes into this wealth and then they turn into a jerk. It just makes us more of who we are. It's like magnifies who we are as individuals. And this guy I used to work with, that's what he thought. People who are wealthy were jerks. He believed it. The irony of the whole story is he wanted to be wealthy. Think about this if you have a belief like this yourself, because it's very conflicting. If you ultimately believe wealthy people are jerks while trying to build wealth, that's not going to work. You will almost always sabotage yourself because if you start to build, wait, you're turning into a bigger jerk. You better spend it down. You better run up credit card debt. You better not become wealthy because then you'll be a jerk. And then you sabotage yourself back down to broke. It didn't work out for him, is the bottom line. I kept in touch with him a little bit over the years. He went bankrupt. It's always been an issue with him money wise, even though he's made a nice income for a while. He had this belief, and it has stayed with him for his whole life. And he's probably in his early 50s now. You don't have to be like that. You absolutely don't have to be like that. How about this belief? I hear this one a lot. It takes a lot of money to be wealthy. Heard that belief a lot. I'll give you a quick story. One of my really good friends, his name is also Matt. He started out 50 bucks a month and he just started putting it into index investments and some in savings, 50 bucks a month. He just started it. He said, Matt, I'm just going to start the process. And he grew and grew and then added more and grew and added more, grew, added more, but he stayed consistent for the last 20 years. Now he has multiple millions. Why? Because he started with millions? No, because he started with 50 bucks a month. But he made it a habit. He committed to 50 bucks minimum a month, no matter what. He will pay himself at least that. And then he slowly built upon that. And the concept, if you've never read it, a big part of that is this book, The Richest Man in Babylon. Incredible book. One of the main takeaways, key takeaways is you pay yourself first. That's what Matt did. He said, I don't care, whatever other bills, I'll get to those, but I'm paying my future self first. And now he looks back at that and credits that 50 bucks a month, the habit that he started. It did not take him a lot of money to become wealthy. It takes time and it takes consistency, and he has both. How about this belief? I'll never be wealthy, so YOLO, YOLO, right? Well, I'm never going to be wealthy anyways. I might as well YOLO it. Well, I can tell you this. One of the first times that I volunteered at a nursing home, this is like 15 plus years ago, I met this older gentleman and he lived with this. He lives with this belief. I'll never be wealthy, YOLO, live it up. And what happened was he didn't have any money at the end of his life. He couldn't do anything once he retired. He had this just horrible retirement lifestyle. And he was in his 90s at that point. So it was like 35 years of that. I'll never be wealthy, so you might as well spend it anyways, right? I like the Matt route where you just put a small piece and then let it grow over time. I will now share one that I have had and I'll give you the way that I'm working on it. And maybe you can think about whatever your limiting beliefs are if you do have one. I think we all have them in different areas, but see what you think about this one. I have often said in my head, I'm not sure if I can afford this. And that's the question I will ask. What does that do? In my opinion, that produces a scarcity mindset. It produces I'm worried to spend a little bit too much. This is going to be uncomfortable. I don't know what I wanted. And I'm pretty darn good with saving and all that. I'm not an overspender. I'm way more frugal. And this is part of it. I have a scarcity mindset in some areas around money. One of the things I've done in the past few years to combat this is to spend on what I love. I love to travel. One of the things that I've done recently is whenever we travel, level up a little bit of where we would stay. And back when like I'm booking places by myself, I didn't care what it was. I would look at the Airbnb and then hotels.com, whatever the other ones are, and I would almost always just be like, okay, what's the lowest cost? $68 a night. Okay, there might be a bullet hole in the wall, but it's $68 a night. That's good, right? And I had this, I don't know if I can afford this or I can always save more money by just staying in some dark, dingy place, and I would book those. How I've combated it recently is level up. Level up. Since travel is such a big thing that I value, leveling up at least the place that I or we are staying in. And that has helped me combat that limiting belief of, I'm not sure, this might be stretching too much. I don't know. And then you see also, if you have a budgeting app or you work with a budget on a piece of paper, you have somewhat of an allotted amount and you try to stay around there, and you can expand a little bit, especially if we're like, I don't eat out. Like I don't like eating out like almost at all. I buy no new clothes almost ever because I love the same staples that I have. As a result, can open up more on the travel side. What are your money beliefs? I think this is so powerful. And then if you can find a limiting one, and we'll go over an activity here at the end you can do to find it, how can you flip it on its head and actually use it as fuel to propel you forward versus holding you back? And the shift we're really trying to make is unconscious to being conscious about spending and where our money goes and what our beliefs are and where we learn them from, probably at a younger age, a very young age potentially. What's the action you can take? I think this is the biggest key. Here's an action you can take. Write down the top, let's just say one for now, the top limiting belief you have about money. Do you think you're never going to be a millionaire? By the way, if you're listening to this and you're under the age of 70, millionaire status for sure. If you're over 70, come on, you can still knock it out. It can absolutely still happen. Is that a limiting belief? Is a belief of I'll never get out of debt? I hear this one all the time. I'll just always have a car payment. Well, of course you will, because you believe that, right? Of course you always have a car payment because you absolutely have that belief. Do you have a belief of it just, I'll never get started because there's just too much, there's too much to try to learn? YouTube University. Grab one of these books, Richest Man in Babylon, incredible book. The Psychology of Money, incredible book. You can read, you can learn. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. I'll give you the simplest way. You want me to simplify it as much as possible? Earn more than you spend. That's a great start. But write down one limiting belief you have about money. Whatever it is, think about it now, write it down. If you're driving, wait till you get to your destination and then put it in your phone, write it on a piece of paper. Here's a limiting belief I have about money. Then write down what that belief has cost you. What has it cost you? And just using the debt one, for example, I'll always be in credit card debt. What has that cost you? That has cost you clearly being in debt, having a very limited thought process of that. If you have kids, it will teach them that credit card debt is okay. And most likely they will be in it for the rest of their life. And then their kids will be in it. That's your grandkids, then your great grandkids. But you can be the change. This whole money belief flip can start with you. So write down what the belief has cost you in the past. Who has it negatively affected? And here's the next kicker. Write down what it'll cost you if you continue to believe this for 10 more years or more. What if you keep believing it? Wow, I'll never be wealthy, so why even start? And let's say you're 45 right now. Well, guess what? Now you're going to be 55 and even more broke because you kept that belief. Yes, I want you to feel a little discomfort right now. Yes, I want you to feel a little bit of pain right now. Why? I don't want you to feel pain, but I want you to feel the heaviness and pain for a moment. So boom, you can go into a different direction. and flip that belief on its head, like I'm doing with the travel and leveling that up. And it's freeing. It's like a different way. It's like more exciting. And you get to, okay, maybe this belief is limiting me. Let's test it. Let's go to the edge here. Let's push a little further and see if we can crack this limiting belief and turn it into a positive. So write down what it will cost you if you keep this belief for 10 or more years. Feel that heaviness. I know it sucks. It sucks to think about that. I did this when I was an alcoholic. I thought, what if I continue on this path for 10 plus more years? I still have the note that I wrote to myself many years ago. The note basically said this: Matt, there's two outcomes if you continue this for 10 more years. The best outcome is you're going to be in jail. Still get emotional thinking about it. That's the best outcome. The worst one, probably already know. I will not be here. I'd be dead. I still don't know how some of the scenarios I'm alive. God is real for sure. But I wrote down what it'll cost me if I keep drinking for 10 more years. Those two outcomes I didn't want. And I felt that pain. I cried. I sat in it for actually a few days. And then that just, boom, moved me in a completely new direction because I got leverage on myself. I want you to get leverage on yourself with this money limiting belief. Will it cost you if you keep this belief for 10 plus more years? Who will it negatively impact? Obviously, you. Will it negatively impact a spouse, a parent, a child, your son or daughter, a grandchild, your friends, because you're spreading these limiting beliefs to them? Isn't it time to make a change? That pain will help you flip it. And then once you feel the heaviness, then you go into a new direction and write a more empowering belief. What's the flip side of that? It takes a lot of money to be wealthy. The flip side is it doesn't take a lot of money. It just takes time and consistency. Let's start now. This belief, I'll never be wealthy. So YOLO, I will be wealthy and I will begin to learn about wealth by reading these books. And I will start to move our family tree in a better direction with money. That impact can last generations if you decide right now. Give this action a shot. I hope this helps you. We're talking about the money beliefs that are running your life. This is video 5 of 10 in the Spend Like You Mean It series. Like and subscribe, and also please comment on what your beliefs are around money. If they're limiting beliefs or positive beliefs, keep this in mind too. Next week, we are talking about why you keep breaking your own money rules. Why do you keep breaking your own money rules? It's going to be fascinating. We're going to take a deep dive on it. I hope this is helping you out. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you all next week. Remember, challenges build champions.